Hi, and welcome back to Animals 2 by 2, where we're doing our weekly lessons on learning about some animals. Remember, today is going to be our day 3 or lesson 3 on our week-long study for goldfish and guppies. And this week, those goldfish and guppies, we're really taking a deep look into what they're made of, how they live, and specifically how we can care for them. The objectives that I really want you guys to be able to do by the end of the week is be able to identify that fish have identifiable structures, identify that fish have basic needs, they change their environment. You'll be able to identify that fish behavior is influenced by conditions in the environment and know that each kind of fish has a unique structure or behavior. You'll also be able to know that animals come in many sizes and live in many places. You'll recognize that you can learn about animals by looking at them closely. That means making observations about the natural world and know that there are descriptors collecting using those 5 senses. So we're using our our sense of sight to see, our sense of hearing to hear, and making all kinds of observations and raising questions about the natural world with those. What you need. You're going to need your paper handout you received on Monday. Today we're going to work on page 7 of that handout. And some pencils, crayons, markers, whatever you have laying around, a piece of paper to take notes or draw pictures. And if you don't have that handout, that page 7, you can just use a piece of paper to do that. And then our book 2 by 2 we'll go over later in the week. Okay, some vocabulary. We went over goldfish, guppies, aquarium, fin, tail, and gills so far this week, and you can always refer back to this slide or this part of the video to refresh yourself on that. We are going to have a new word, Elodea. It's an aquatic plant often called the water weeds, which is what I'll call it the rest of the video, and it lives in fresh water. So that's just that type of plant that you see a lot of times in aquariums with. Okay, so we're going to jump right into caring for your goldfish. Goldfish and guppies are among the hardiest aquarium fish and the easiest to care for. Although they are easy to care for, there are some things that you should keep in mind to ensure success. You're going to need suitable water, sufficient oxygen, correct temperature, and correct feeding are the most important things to consider. Okay, space to live with safe water. Goldfish need quite a bit of space. You should not put more than 3 goldfish in a basin aquarium. You may have heard the rule of thumb is 1 gallon of water per goldfish. We have found that 3 can live comfortably in the basin aquarium. And their water. It's an important thing. Notice how there's different types of aquarium to keep your fish in. Okay, so the water that's contained in those aquariums, you need to be thinking about chlorine in regular tap water can be lethal to both goldfish and guppies. There are 2 ways to dechlorinate water. The first is to age the tap water by letting it sit in an open container for at least 24 hours. Chlorine dissolves in the water, escapes into the air. Or dechlorinating chemicals can be added to tap water. In some water systems, chloramine, a newer additive, is used in place of chlorine, and it will not leave the water when it is exposed to air. You must use water conditioners that specifically say remove chloramine. It might be beneficial to ask your local pet store or aquarium store just what's recommended in your area to make that water safe for your fish. Set aside a pitcher of water to age so that you will have it ready to maintain the water level of the aquarium. Keep your aquarium covered to reduce evaporation and to keep dust out and your fish in. oxygen. So your fish do have to have oxygen. That's why it's so important that we dechlorinate this water. They do not breathe like us. Remember in the last video yesterday, we talked about how they use those gills to get oxygen out of the water. And they're still going to need that, but that's why it's so important that we have adequate oxygen in the water. It's just necessary to keep your fish healthy and alive. You need to change about 1/3 of the aquarium water each week to maintain the chemical balance. If the water becomes cloudy or smelly, you're going to need to replace it immediately. Nutrition. Goldfish like to eat insects, larvae, worms, aquatic plants, and snail eggs, all of which they eat while they're in the wild. And they also eat commercial food. That's the kind that we buy at the store. You need to feed your fish once a day as much food as they will consume in 3 to 5 minutes. Too much food left in the aquarium will foul the water. There are fish feeding cakes. Those are compressed food that disintegrate slowly and are available at pet and aquarium stores if you need to leave the fish unattended for more than 3 days. Reproduction. Goldfish, notice the pregnant mom there, lay eggs. They do not give live birth. Notice the center picture is pictures of goldfish eggs. Although they are prolific in nature, they usually will not breed in those small aquariums. So here we see a mother getting ready to lay her eggs. We have the eggs, and then we have some baby goldfish. Those look like they're a little older. All right, now our guppies. Remember, guppies and goldfish are very similar in most ways. But guppies are different in other ways. You can put up to 6 to 8 guppies in a basin aquarium as to where you could not do that with goldfish. Chlorine in regular tap water can also be lethal to guppies, just like it would be with our goldfish. Guppies also eat commercial food as well as finely chopped fish, two-flex worms, earthworms, and athena. They can also eat on fish feeding cakes if you're going to be gone for more than 3 days. Goldfish and guppies generally do not require an aquarium heater, although you may want to purchase one if it gets below 65 degrees or if your fish cannot tolerate extreme warm water either. So you would need to check your water temperature in hot weather. The water does not need to get above 85 degrees Fahrenheit. If it does, you need to add cool water to lower the temperature. Guppies are quite prolific, and they will probably give birth during their stay in your aquarium. In fact, you may observe the arrival of baby guppies a day or two after you put them in your basin aquarium. The stress of transportation may induce a gravid female to release the babies. Adult guppies will eat their young, so you should supply the aquarium with plenty of Avia and remember the water weeds in which the babies can hide or move the adults to a separate tank. Remember, this is what's different about goldfish and guppies. Goldfish lay eggs, guppies have babies. Take a look at that page 7. What do goldfish need to live? I want you to go ahead and pause the video, fill that out to the best of your knowledge. Draw me a picture, write some sentences. What do you remember that goldfish need to live or to survive? Once you're completed, go ahead and unpause the video and push play. Okay, at this point you should have finished your drawing. And remember, we're not artists, we're scientists, and we're looking into that natural world. So here I've just drawn a picture of a goldfish showing his eyes, mouth, gills, scales, fins, just a quick draw showing those body parts. He also has bubbles, and those are to show the oxygen in the water. I've got blue waves to show that they need water. I've got a little jar of food there. And I just wrote a little sentence about it quickly to remind me what a goldfish actually needs. So mine says, goldfish need food, water, oxygen, space, and correct temperature. What does yours say? Please share with a family member or a friend. Let them see that awesome work you've done. Stay tuned for tomorrow where we'll be working on lesson 4 and we'll look at the behavior of the goldfish. I'm so excited. Thanks guys for tuning in.